Hello friends, I hope you've had a wonderful week. Last week I asked you if you had any superpower, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And you guys answered. I'll be reading your answers in this video. But before we get into that, we have our first question that comes from one of you guys, Lil Kidda. So I'll read your comment first and we'll get your question out there as well. So you say your first superpower would be to heal anyone, second would be to fly. And the question that we're going to use for next week comes right here from Lil Kidda that says, if you were stranded on an island and you could only have 3 items with you, what would those 3 items be? If you had a choice, of course. So leave your answer in the comments below and I'll read that next week. So here are the superpowers that you guys would choose. Croco first says teleportation as well as an indestructible body. This way you wouldn't need space rockets at all because one person would be able to teleport to distant planets and build an entire city in minutes. Second, Skelm will choose the power of invisibility, although it would be tempting not to do things like pranks and stuff, but could still definitely be useful. Of course, though, you have to do some kind of pranks with it. If you're turning yourself invisible, you have to do some kind of pranks. Cassette Cat would choose the power to be more confident or to be able to read minds. Now, being more confident is something that you can learn to do it. It comes from doing something a lot. Doing the same thing a lot, you become more confident with that thing. Omar would choose to be super duper fast, so he could climb to the top of the pyramids there, although oxygen would be low up there, so please be careful. Critical Miss, which is a group of 3 people, would choose to have a hive mind ability so that they could all feel each other's pain because they all hate each other. Yes, so such a great, lovely team working together, hating each other, and all that kind of thing. I don't know how well that kind of thing really works, but I guess that is how that is. Wise Wizard would choose the power of environmental adaptation, so I assume that means that you could, you could adapt to any environment whatsoever. You could just, dive into the water and you would be totally adapted to that environment. You could go into the ice-cold tundra and you would totally adapt to that environment, or things like that, and you would use it to go to places where you won't hear people complain about things, which would be a really good thing. And Mitsu, of course, is that person who would choose all of the powers, as you can see by the very top of her comment there. Nah, she would just kind of use teleportation so that she wouldn't have to walk home in minus 20 degrees weather, which is I agree with that. I agree with that. Walking out in that ice cold weather, not very fun, walking home from school and stuff like that. She would also use it to go warm Bullaby's hands when they get cold, which happens a lot. And she says it would be nice that time would stop if she did do that, so that when she goes warm Bullaby's hands, time stops and she has all the time in the world, but that can't really happen, so she'll have to break a clock for that one. And we have a 2-for-1 here. Both Zincat and GitGut would choose teleportation because it's great to travel. You could go literally anywhere you wanted, anytime you wanted. And the way I look at it is, if you forget something at home, you don't have to go all the way back or freak out that, oh no, I don't have X, Y, or Z, and you can just literally snap your fingers, go back home, grab it, and snap your fingers and go back, unless teleportation uses up some kind of energy level and you can't use it any time you want, kind of thing, just like you can't lift weights all darn day, you probably couldn't teleport all darn day either. Maybe. Wrench is just worried that I was outside in nothing but a shirt, but don't you worry. I was in a very special protective bubble, so the snow couldn't touch me. That protective bubble is called the magic of green screens. Greg would choose immortality because the longer you live, the more you can do, and eventually you get every other power you need. The only thing I worry about is you would end up having to live to see everyone else around you who you love die. There's a whole debate on whether immortality would actually be a really good thing or whether it would be a curse. I don't know. Unless there's some kind of way around it, like if you choose to finally not have it, maybe. My mom would like the ability to fly so that she could go places and not have to drive there in the cold, although teleportation would be nice too. with teleportation, you wouldn't have to go outside at all, whereas with flying, you might have to, well, you would have to go outside even when it's cold. So you'd still have to bundle up and get nice and warm. RT Hunter would love to have the ability to go back in time and back into the past and have an endless life. RT also asked me what powers I would have, and I responded here I'd probably have either flight or time powers. But now that I think about it, I think teleportation would be better than flight, because with flight, you can do almost anything you can do with teleportation if you had flight, because you could still kind of go anywhere. The only difference is you wouldn't be able to just fly into the water. You wouldn't be able to just fly forever. You know, birds get tired and they have to rest as well. They can't just fly around the earth forever. So teleportation, though, you could just snap your fingers and go anywhere you want in a second. You wouldn't have to take the time to actually get there. So I think that would be good. And powers over time, being able to like freeze time, rewind time, maybe fast forward time, although that would be kind of a terrible thing, or to go back in time or forward in time or that kind of thing. Those would be pretty cool and pretty useful as well, but I would definitely choose teleportation. Funny Fluffy would choose to have the ability to either slow down time or extend it kind of thing, so having the time powers, which would definitely be very useful. April, for some reason, wants just a single one-time use power to make herself a bit taller, instead of having power over her entire body so that she could choose to be taller or shorter at any given time, anytime she wants. I don't know what good a one-use power would be. Bullowee would choose the power of speed to go as fast as light, and he would use it to do so many things at once, as well as, of course, to go visit Mitsu and spend all the time in the world with her. And that wraps it up for this week. So thank you all so much again for your participation. Thank you all for answering the question. It's really cool to see what you guys like. Teleportation seems to be the most popular one. Most people chose teleportation, myself included, but it's cool to see all the different kinds of superpowers that you guys think of, that you guys would want, and who knows, some of those things may end up becoming real life at some point. Maybe not. Either way, that is it for this video, so thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week, and I will see you again next week. Don't forget to answer this week's questions in the comments down below. That question is, if you were stranded on an island and you could only have 3 items with you, what would those 3 items be? Leave your answers down below and I will read them next week. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.